Are you a woodworking side hustler and are looking for ways to optimize your time? Well, in this video, I want to share with you 3 ways that you can optimize your time, become more proficient, more efficient with your time with 3 tips. Let's go ahead and jump into this video today. What's going on, guys? My name is Edgar Calixtro. I'm the owner of AE Timber and Pine, and I have a local Sonoma County woodworking side hustle. And I just want to share with some of the tips that I have incorporated into my woodworking side hustle, and hopefully that it could help you guys out in yours. If you're a woodworking side hustler, I kind of consider us in 2 different camps. Either we're in the camp where we're going to go all in, or we're pretty close to going all in. And you have some of these tips already incorporated into your side hustle, or you're brand new, kind of getting started, and you're looking for ways to get better, more efficient with your woodworking side hustle, because we have different competing priorities. And so if you're kind of more established, you kind of have already some of these tips already figured out. And if not, you're kind of trying to figure out how to become more efficient. Again, because we have competing priorities. We have our regular 9-to-5 jobs. We have our spouses. We have children and different activities that we have to manage. And we can't sometimes just give a full day's worth of just shop time, even though we would like to, right? We just sometimes can't have that dedicated time. And so I have these 3 tips that I have kind of picked up along the way that I think will make you more efficient. And so let's go ahead and get these. Hey, what's going on, Michael? I appreciate you guys here. So sorry. Before I get started, I just want to share with you kind of my mindset on my videos as a woodworking side hustler. If you've watched some of my videos, I like to make mine go right to the point, because I am a side hustler and I kind of have my viewers in mind that if we just don't have 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour sometimes to figure out how to, or to watch a video on how to make like this rustic flag back here. I can't take an hour to show you how to do that, especially when I can just show you in 5 minutes. And so I like to make my videos as long as they need to be, but as short as possible. And so with that in mind, that's kind of what I have in mind when I make my videos. And so let me go ahead and share my screen real quick, because I do have some slides prepared for us today. And I hope that these are beneficial for you today. All right, and this is our second live stream. And so what I want to say with that, since my videos that I do make and I upload are kind of to the point, these live streams I hope can be slightly longer, not necessarily wasting your time, but maybe we can get to have a conversation with some of the comments in the chat. So go ahead and leave me a comment. What is the woodworking side hustle tip, or maybe just a tip in general, because this doesn't necessarily have to apply just to your woodworking side hustler. What tips do you have implemented right now that make you more efficient in your side hustle, or just in your everyday day-to-day? All right, guys, so this is live stream number 2. We're going to talk about 3 time management tips to make you more efficient. And the first one I want to talk to you guys about is batching. This is very important, because I feel that batching helps me at least stay sane and kind of know where I'm at with each build. So what I mean by batching is breaking up your building process throughout several days. Now, I understand that several projects, or many projects, actually take longer than 1 day to build. But for example, rustic flags, I can knock several out in a day. But again, I may not have that dedicated time to be able to just have several hours to build it out. So I batch it out into several days. And so, for example, here, day one, I'll do something, day 2, day 3. And then if I can have day 3 back, I guess I'll just do day 3 all over again. But that's actually a typo. So that's what I mean by batching. It's taking days to build one thing or several ththings. So here's an example with the rustic flag. If I were to build a rustic flag and wanted to batch it out, this is kind of what my go-to guideline here. Day 1, I would rip all my materials, whether it be for 1 or 7 flags or however many flags. I would just rip everything on that 1 day and sand everything, just getting everything prepared for the next day. And on day 2, I would stain my union and my stripes. And what I like to do is I like to stain my unions first, allow them to dry as I'm staining my stripes. And then as they dry and I'm still staining my stripes, I'll bring the unions back in and throw them on the CNC and start carving. And then on day 3, I would just glue everything up, put everything together, and then add poly. So that's just a simple example of what I mean by batching. There are different projects that would just take days in general, but how can you even break up some of that building process? Sorry about that, guys. Just lost connection there. That was kind of weird. All right, but we're back up. And so, several days. Think about how maybe write it down. How can I break up my process into several days? And I like to break my stuff down because it just keeps me in line. It keeps me in check on what do I got to do next on the next day. I'll have everything prepared for me the next day as I continue on. And so let's go ahead and go on to the next. And I apologize, guys. I don't know what's going on with my internet connection right now. It just, of course, wants to go down as I'm having this live stream. It's been working all, I've been kind of preparing and making sure everything's up and running. And of course, right now, as I'm live streaming, it wants to go down. But I guess we just got to go with it. All right. So number two, tip number two. Let me just write here real quick. Going down. All right, guys. So tip number two, we're just gonna go right through these real quick. I like to write it down. Write everything down. Write down your process. Write down your final dimensions. Write down any tips or things to watch out for as you find out during your build. Write down anything you want to remember about your build. Just write it down. I have a note. I write notes. I have a section in my phone for notes for my projects, and in that note, I'll just put in like rustic flag dimensions. I have everything listed out so that way I don't have to think about it. I don't have to go back and search online for dimensions. And then for, specific builds like tables, I'll make a note like, hey, don't cut this first. Make sure to build everything else out and then cut, this leg to size, something like that. Write it down because you will not remember. I promise you, you won't remember. When you have a customer several months down the road after you maybe posted something on Facebook a year down the road, you're not going to remember the dimensions that and they want that product. You're not going to remember it. And I'll give you an example. I made a rustic flag utility rack for a police officer. It was my first one, and I didn't write anything down. And then maybe a year later, I posted up again just on Facebook Marketplace several things that I have made in the past, including that utility rack. And lo and behold, somebody wanted that exact same thing, and I had nothing written down. So I had to go back to my first customer and message them and ask, "Hey, could you mind measuring that your rack for me? Because I don't remember the dimensions." And it's actually cool. He's a neighbor right up the street from me, so it was cool. He was able to get the measurements for me. But um, you don't want to go back and do that if you can write it down from the get go. There's two things there. You could have done it when you were building it, but it kind of looks bad, I think, as the builder, as the owner of your small woodworking side hustle, it's to have to go back to your customer to ask for that. I was so embarrassed, but it worked out because he's a cool guy. So I appreciated him doing that. But yeah, just write everything down, dimensions, things that you're gonna forget, because I promise you, you will forget it. So I have a notebook. You could use a notebook. You could do videos and pictures. Again, I use my phone. I just write notes, but there are times when I have had to take pictures, take videos. For example, I don't know if you've seen the cabinet or not the cabinet, but the concealed flag I recently made. I had to take videos and pictures of how I wanted to place the flag on the sliding drawer hinges or drawer slides because I knew I was going to forget how I did it. So just something to keep in mind. Write it down. You will forget. And it's like I mentioned, just like flag dimensions, I have those all written out. And tip number three, and the final tip is find a niche. I know as woodworking side hustlers, as woodworkers, we're pretty handy with our tools, with our imagination on how to visualize certain things, and we could probably build most things. But I find that if I were to build everything for everybody, I wouldn't be able to dedicate to what I really know how to build, or get really good at building something. And so, again, finding myself, or finding my niche was sticking to the patriotic rustic decor. Yes, I can build coffee tables. Yes, I can build probably dining tables. I can build other sorts of things, but I want to be known for the patriotic stuff. And if I simply say yes to everything, then I wouldn't be able to focus and then get really good at that. I'm not trying to say that don't expand your horizons. Don't or just simply say no to everybody. But for a certain time, I think you do have to dial in on your niche and build your customer base there. Um, and sorry, I'm just reading some notes here. Michael, you're saying that you actually bought a book and specifically says this. Um, oh, so you have some problems. So maybe we can touch upon that, because I do have a video in mind about customers, and when they say something, it doesn't always mean that. But sticking to the point, finding your niche is going to be beneficial because you're going to be able to dedicate your time learning how to improve um, your improve your quality. But then you're also going to be able to set up systems. I'm too sure if Michael or anybody else has heard about systems where you are able to now set yourself up for success in your shop. Okay, you have this dedicated area for your wood press, and you have it already dialed in for your drill press. Excuse me, your drill press, for example. If you had it dialed in for setting drill holes for a certain depth because your flag required, systems in your wood shop would help you immensely because you are in your niche and you have set up your systems based on that. Again, not trying to say that don't go into different things if you're able to or can or eventually will want to. But I think starting out as a woodworking side hustle, it's very important to find a niche because you can't do everything. Just two examples real quick. A family member reached out to me from my wife's side and asked me to build a table for him for his studio. And although I can build it, I don't necessarily have all the tools perhaps to build. I didn't have the tools at the time to build everything. And so, yes, I could do it, but it just would take away from my time from actually building things that I do know that sell and could build it and bring in money. And so that you have to kind of weigh those options. Um, let's see here. What else do I got? So, example for if you're a cutting board builder, if you're a cutting board, stick to cutting boards and learn how to perfect that before you go on to something else. That's my recommendation for you guys. And Michael, you're saying that you're having some issues with some customers. What kind of issues are you having? Like I said, I have an idea of a video that I want to share that customer, when they say something, it doesn't always mean that. For example, you have freedom to do, artistic freedom. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have artistic freedom and you can do whatever you want. And I learned that the hard way. So, guys, again, just want to share with you those three tips. Batch out your builds, write it down, and find a niche. Break down your build in several consecutive days. Write it down because from experience, you will forget some of those dimensions. You will forget some of those, those watch out moments if you don't write it down. And then, excuse me, find a niche. Find a niche that you can get yourself known for. I'm the flag guy here. I've heard it be called. I heard myself called. Oh, you're the flag guy that lives down that road. Oh yeah, I've seen your work. Oh, you were there. I saw it. So yeah, be known for something because you find that niche. All right, guys. So I'm still. What woodworking tips or side hustle tips do you guys recommend to be more efficient? Do you guys have anything that you guys would like to put in the comments before we sign off on this short video? Again, my videos are trying to be as quick as possible. To not take up your time because there's a lot of competing priorities, and as a side hustle, we don't have the dedicated time to just focus on this. Sometimes, I was reading a book on commercial real estate because that's something that interests me, and my wife and I are maybe considering getting into that commercial real estate. And the same thing, Michael, they were saying this gentleman was saying, you got to find a niche if you're going to be when you first initially start out. If you're apartment buildings, stick to apartment buildings, or if you're retail, If you're kind of focusing more retail, stick to retail and work your way up to then diversify in the future. And so, again, finding the niche is very important. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to take up much more of your time. Leave me comments below on what you think are some of the tips that make you more efficient and make you more better with your time. Okay, we got a comment here. Michael says jigs are a big thing, and one thing that you do like about my videos is that they are to the point and not drawn out videos. Thank you. I appreciate that, Michael. I do appreciate that. But yeah, jigs for sure help out a lot. I don't have a whole lot of jigs. I do use a keyhole jig, and that's about the only jig that I have actually. But I didn't realize the benefit of that until I had it. How much straighter my keyholes are, how much faster I am, and so definitely jigs are um, definitely a help. Good, Michael. Yeah, find the niche that you, any connections that you may have. I find that again through this real estate. I know we're kind of going away now, kind of talking about just in general time management and connections and networking. But yeah, through this real estate guy that I'm reading, he's just we got to be able to talk to people and use what we know and use the people that we not use them, but like use the networks that we currently have to be able to find more people to then be able to get our name out there. So yeah, definitely sticking to an area that we know is beneficial at first. All right, guys. Well, again, I don't want to take much of your time. I appreciate your hanging out with me for this short video clip or this short live stream. And we'll see you guys on the next video. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.